Okay, so cell cycle again. Remember we just said that this entire, the G, the growing, the synthesis, and the G2, those are all part of interphase. So it's the preparation of the cell for cell division. In G1, which is where we spend most of our time as a cell, we're growing and adding cytoplasm. Okay, you need to have enough cytoplasm to be able to split it into two and make sure that each of those daughter cells is going to get enough for the cell to survive. So we add cytoplasm. Now, synthesis, here is where we copy the DNA. So the cell copies the DNA so that each daughter cell will get a full set of chromosomes. And then G2, remember G stand for grow, the cell grows some more here. Okay, so now you're ready to go through cell division. So when we start looking at that red area up on the cycle, PMAT, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. In prophase, we need to get those chromosomes out. So the nuclear envelope is going to, break down. And those chromosomes are going to go from a long, stringy, grainy matter, and they're going to coil up into what we know as a visible chromosome. So the chromosomes are going to coil. And then we also get spindles forming. I'll talk about those in a second. For metaphase, this is where chromosomes are at the equator or at the midline of the cell. Anaphase, the chromosomes are pulled apart and they move away from each other. And then in telophase, we've got the chromosomes at the opposite ends, so we need to keep them there. And so we bring that nuclear membrane back. And the chromosomes uncoil and they relax back into that grainy material, and the spindles will break down. Okay, so then cytokinesis, after mitosis, we go and we divide the cytoplasm in half. Okay, so what does this look like? Oh, I didn't push it in here. If we were to look at it underneath a microscope, this is what you guys would have seen in lab this week. Number 4 is looking at that interphase. Okay, there's still a nucleus there. Oops, interphase. Number 4 is interphase. So no chromosomes are visible yet. When we move over to number 3, now you can kind of see this nuclear membrane starting to break down and the chromosomes are coiling. So this would be your prophase. And then metaphase, PM. M stands for metaphase. That's where they line up at the equator. And then anaphase is where they move apart and they kind of string out like this. Okay, and they're riding on those spindles. You can kind of see them in the middle here. I always call them the zip lines. So number 5 is anaphase. And then telophase, we're going to start bringing a nuclear envelope back to keep those chromosomes at each pole. So this one's going to be called telophase. And then finally we go through cytokinesis. And so this is a plant cell, and we're building the cell wall in between to separate cytoplasm. So why must a daughter cell grow and copy the DNA? Growth occurs so that both cells receive large amounts of cytoplasm. And copying the DNA ensures both daughter cells will receive a complete set of chromosomes. So what moved the chromosomes through the nucleus or through the cell? Those were those spindle fibers, okay, right here in the red. And those formed in prophase, and then they hook up to the chromosomes and they move them across the cell. So the spindles are what move the chromosomes. And finally, our end result is going to be 2 genetically identical daughter cells after cytokinesis. Two genetically identical. I can't talk and write at the same time. Okay, so a little bit different between plants and animals down here. In plant cells, we get a cell plate that forms. So this right here is an animal cell, okay? Round cell, just a cell membrane, soft and squishy, right? So this is the cleavage right here, that cytokinesis that's going to split it into two. This is different from, where's my last sheet? There it is. A plant, okay? So we know this is a plant because it's square and it's got that rigid cell wall. And so you get a cell plate forming here. Okay, and it's kind of like building a brick wall. Brick by brick by brick, you put those plates in there, and then eventually you've got an entire new cell wall dividing them. So cell division as a whole, it allows organisms to reproduce. It allows organisms to repair themselves if you break a bone or you cut yourself. And it also allows organisms to replace dead cells. Okay, so cells will die. They don't live forever. So in terms of, new tissue forming, new skin, you're constantly getting new skin forming. Every 3 weeks, you've got a new layer of skin on the outside. If you're looking at the skin or the lining on the inside of your small intestine, that's going to be every 3 days. So it allows us to replace. So mitosis, cytokinesis allows for all of that and super important.